which is not repented of. You don't use the grace of God to continue to justify your sins. Come out from among them. That's right. We got a lot of fake people.
That's the actual caucus room. Now, right here, what people are doing is this is where you actually register. If you're a Republican, you can register today as a Democrat and vote. If you're an independent, you can register as a Democrat right now. So that's the beauty. There's quite a line right now for people to caucus.
Letting them into the caucus right now without registering them.
No, don't yell. Please don't make noise. Don't make noise.
Who aren't? They will register after this, but if they had red shirts on, they would be letting them.
And so they're going to go from that room over there. They come all the way around here, and then they go right into this room here for the caucus. So let's walk in. So here we go. So now it looks like there's going to be more people than it's going to fit in this room.
Secretary Clinton has gained 13 delegates. Please don't leave. For those of you who are still here, please don't leave. We need, and this is my error, we did not select who the delegates would be. So if your caucus wants to nominate you as a delegate, please let me know and I have the form for you.
Show the room left. This is what's left of the room. There was a full room. They're supposed to select delegates, and he forgot to tell them. So now there's no delegates elected, and everyone's gone. There's quite a line right now for people to caucus. So all these people who are lined up to caucus, if you see, all these people, this is quite a big room. I don't know why they didn't have the caucus in this room. This is a gigantic room. Wow, look at how big this room is.
Tell us a little bit about your involvement with what happened in the Democratic primary process here in Nevada.
Well, I was involved at every level. There were 3 levels to the Nevada State Caucus, as some will know. There was the initial caucus day on February, which everybody went to who voted on that day, and then that determined a certain number of delegates, which you should have voted for within your precincts, which determines who goes to the county level, and then they determined more delegates there, and then that goes to the state level, the final level before it goes to national in Philadelphia.
So there was obviously a bit of a kerfuffle in Nevada. I think the first round of caucuses went fine. I don't remember any particular shenanigans that happened to the first round of caucuses.
The first round, I mean, the most you could say is that it was just disorganized all around. I mean, I don't know if it was that at your places of voting.
From what I gathered, it was not just that it was disorganized. It seemed like it was willfully disorganized. Like they, for instance, they underestimated the number of people that would be coming out to actually caucus.
Yeah.
So like towards the end of it, they ran out of the packets in English and they were handing out like Spanish only like packets and things like that for like even English speaking people to fill out, which seemed a little bit like almost an intentional lack of foresight on their part.
Okay, so tell us then what happened at the county level, because there was some controversy at the county level in Clark County. What happened there?
Well, it has to do with what I said earlier. The Democratic Party lost about 25% of the delegate information.
This is what democracy looks like.
And on top of that, they didn't contact anybody in order to tell them when it was, where it was, just kind of let them know where it was going to be. So both of the campaigns kind of rushed to get supporters and contact them, and whoever might be a delegate, they don't know who they are because they wouldn't release the information. So that was the kerfuffle that went on leading to the county convention.
Right.
We get to the day of,
Yeah.
and what happened was basically just more Bernie Sanders supporters came out. And
does it have an end? Hey.
you know, they had a bunch of the delegates, the actual delegates, not show up. So what happened was it was not the delegates, not the alternates, but the unelected alternates that really determined the final numbers, because they had to initiate, they had to, that's what I'm looking for. They had to officially seat the unelected alternates. Okay. Because the numbers were so low, they weren't even, it was supposed to be about 9,000 delegates there, but only about 6,000 people showed up. So they were like, we'll take the number of people who are here and make them all delegates, and that was the final count that we saw.
Minor controversies compared to what happened in the last couple of weeks at the Nevada State Convention. Can you give us a brief rundown of what happened at the Nevada State Convention?
Were you there?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
you can tell us firsthand.
Firsthand.
All right.
All right. We didn't figure out this drama until the day before, during the pre-registration. We got there Friday. It was on a Saturday, so we got there Friday to pre-register, so you didn't have to wait in a line the day of, so get that out of the way.
Of course.
But when we got there, there was a group of Sanders supporters. They were Team Bernie. They had all organized because they had caught on to something that happened, the chair people, they brought in these temporary rules, and they kind of just put them into motion without really telling anybody, so they had these temporary rules in place. So, but basically the gist of what the temporary rules did was they gave the chairwoman, Roberta Lang, complete power over the entire process. Nobody was, it's basically however she says it goes. So they had gotten together about 9 petitions.
So what are you doing?
We're delivering the petitions to the convention secretary
on how to repeal Burton's right to citizenship, take away a woman's right to choose.
To the flag of the United States of America.
Its right to choose. They built a giant wall they've been talking about.
And to the republic for which it stands.
And they were going around and they were getting signatures so they could bring that to the floor so they could contest.
One nation, under God.
Contest the temporary rules and bring back something like Robert's Rules of Orders.
Indivisible.
Which is that's the standard.
Right, the standard, right.
Mm-hmm. So the convention was set to start at 10.
With liberty and justice for all.
8:30, they bring it onto the floor to vote for the temporary rules to go in.
Right.
Hillary, Hillary, Hillary! Not?
So a half hour before the convention is
Half hour
scheduled to
before
start.
it was scheduled to start and everyone should be there, they want to pass these rules, which is already shady enough as it is.
One nation, indivisible.
And I don't know if you've seen the video of how that vote went, but
Liberty.
Right, it was a voice vote.
It was the voice vote, the
And
initial one.
it sounded, to my ears,
Justice for all.
it sounded, to my ears, as though they were extremely close.
Speaking for. Is there someone speaking for? What is your point of information?
Are we operating under Robert's
We're
rules?
operating under the temporary rules of the convention. And now we are discussing whether we are going to adopt the temporary rules or not, and I would ask for a speaker for, and I'm a speaker for right over here. Excuse me, please state your name and your county for the minutes.
Yes, I am Jasmine Majori from Clark County in Congressional District 4. I am for the rules because without order, we bend to extremism, which is exactly what the Democratic Party and the United States of America is fighting. And primitive
Thank you. I'll take the speaker against.
You're on.
Hello, my name is Marjorie Hanson from CD4. Against all the convention rules and the consent agenda because it allows the state Democratic Party chair to take all of our votes and vote for the electorate for our state. We need to vote for those things by ourselves. This year, the United States Supreme Court upheld as a law of the land, one person, one vote.
My name is Alicia Tucker. I'm from Congressional District 3. I'm for the rules that were chosen by 3 Hillary and 3 Bernie, agreed upon. I am for the rules because this is a democratic process and we need to respect that in order to be conducive and conductive and effective. Thank you.
My name is Erin Bilbray. Strongly oppose these rules because we must remember that the Rules Committee never reached a quorum, nor did they ever pass these rules. We should be following Robert's rules, not Roberta's rules.
I'm sorry, could you say the name again? Couldn't hear it.
Henry John August Jr.
Thank you.
I'm from District 3 and I'm for the rules. Without rules and without order, we have no society. Doesn't matter who you're for or against. Mob rule does not work. Hooliganism doesn't work. Order works.
Is there
Hello, everybody.
Excuse me, can I have your name
Please smile, because we're Democrats. The motion is this. I am asking you to have a recount. 9:30 was too soon for a preliminary vote. The petitions did not get to everyone. Everyone wanted to come in and get a seat or get their badge or get things at the different tables around and get their pins. But they didn't get the petitions. And that's what we need. You can't count petitions if nobody got to sign them.
Okay, we've had 3 speakers for and 3 speakers against. I will call the question. It has been moved and seconded that the temporary convention rules be passed by the body. All those in favor say aye. Okay, we have 3 speakers for and 3 speakers against. I will call the question. It has been moved and seconded that the temporary convention rules be passed by the body. All those in favor say aye. Order. 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 All those opposed say no.
And I don't know if you've seen the video of how that vote went, but
Right, it was a voice vote.
it was the voice vote, the
And
initial one.
It sounded, to my ears, as though they were extremely close.
This room was packed earlier today.
That you could not have determined by voice vote alone.
Well, on the
if
video
rules
that
had
you
passed or
see,
not.
at the video that you see, it sounds a lot like Bernie supporters have it. You have to understand that's from it's like within the Bernie side because they split them up into 2 different sides.
This is all Bernie supporters. Hillary supporters were also filling those areas.
All those opposed say no.
Everybody at the center of the room, like between the aisle and the middle aisle, they said like it wasn't clear. And in order for that to have passed, she would need 2/3, like a clear majority between the two.
Right, and then she ruled.
Yeah.
Without contesting or without asking for another
what she
vote
said
or
was the ruling by the chair is not debatable.
It's not debatable. It cannot be challenged, and I move that I announce that the rules have passed by the body.
And that, of course.
And then she kind of like stutters. She's like, the body moves that. Yeah, and I think that's very telling. But that's just me personally.
This is where the real trouble starts, right?
This is how the whole 15+ hour convention started.
Okay.
This is how the whole 15+ hour convention started.
It has been moved and seconded that the temporary convention rules be passed by the body. All those in favor say aye.
Oh, here comes the Bible.
All those opposed say no.
Nose have it, bitch. Nose have it.
The ruling by the chair is not debatable. It cannot be challenged, and I move that I announce that the rules have passed by the body. What?
What? How could that have possibly won? Can you hear?
This morning, the Supreme Court recognized that the Constitution guarantees marriage and home. All the industry just had was best reported. We have doubled the production of clean energy, tripled the amount of wind power we generate, 20 times more solar energy is now created. We can take to help reduce gun violence and save the world. Health insurance reform comes along with that. We've covered 17.6 million number of uninsured Americans at home. According to a survey from the CDC, the uninsured rate has fallen to 9%. The Obama administration credits the Affordable Care Act with a 45% decline. We're in the middle of the longest streak of private sector job creation in history. Unemployment rate fell to 5%. And we've done all this while cutting our deficits by almost 3/4.
Come on. Yeah, my computer's not behaving correctly. What else is new? God, I can't wait to move into the new studios. There we go. All right, so we are calling Adrienne Ashley. Okay.
I'm in a hotel, but I think I should move to not on the bed.
Okay. All right. All right. So, Adrienne, let's start at the beginning. What happened was Saturday morning, you're told to get there, like 10-ish or something at 9:30. They're doing the check-in, and at 9:30, they decide to hold the vote?
The schedule was you had to have been in line to get your credential, in-person check-in by 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So at 9:30... Okay, there was a separate thing. So for weeks, we've been working on overturning some of the rule changes. And that was the really big deal. So there was petitioning going on all the night before. At 9:30, right, we're still collecting signatures, but we have enough signatures. We had 20% of the signatures to petition to overturn the rules. And the rules in question are lifetime appointments for the Central Committee. So they're now like Supreme Court justices. There's the other one.
deliver petitions to the Secretary of the Convention. I would like each petition number read, that you're accepting each one. So we can go through this. You're accepting petition C3.
Okay, to be honest with you, I'm a security guard.
Okay.
My job is just to do this.
But can you alert the Secretary of the Convention, Marla Turner? We have petitions to turn into
Unfortunately.
And the Assembly this fall. 16 different Republicans tried and failed to stop Trump this year. Now it's Madam Chair, as of this morning, 9:30 a.m., we have registered 1,245 Clinton delegates. 1,149 Sanders
What was the other one? There was another one that was like the super. Oh, changing. So in our state, our original thing before we had our first caucus in February, rules stated that the delegates were assigned based on the winner of the county caucus. So we have a 3-tier caucus process.
Right.
We have our district, we have our county, we have our state, and our rules stated that the county level is really like the finish line, right? That determines your state level. Yes.
Right, and I was just talking about that, to bringing people up to date, because I remember that. And the first one, the district level, Harry Reid was supposed to be neutral. He said he was going to be neutral, and at the 11th hour, he came in, stuck his whole body on the scale, said, okay, casino workers, we're going for Hillary. And at the last minute, flipped it, because Bernie would have won.
John, what's your position on unions and the two Democratic frontrunners?
They're likely not to endorse before the caucus, as they've said they won't. But I can't even imagine the pressure that must be coming down from the Clinton campaign for them to change that position, and who the Clinton campaign might be bringing to bear. And I don't know that it's happened yet, but I would guess it would, to try to make phone calls to culinary union leaders to get them to reverse that position. She is very, very worried. Her campaign team is very, very worried about what might happen in Nevada, which they essentially thought they had locked down. I think it's a real problem for her, and I think they're very worried about Nevada, which is why now they're all putting out this ridiculous spin that Nevada's 80% white, and that it's just like Iowa and New Hampshire, which is utterly laughable. And so they're trying to lower expectations here. They're going to bring all kinds of forces to bear, meaning the Clinton campaign, to try to tip the scales in her favor between now and February 20th.
That's right, Kathy. Here in Las Vegas, Hillary Clinton bet her political fortunes on a big, strong turnout from casino workers. And indeed, this is a state where organized labor represents about 14% of the workforce. So there's no doubt that Hillary Clinton's political investment has paid off. Casino workers turned out in big numbers today to support Hillary Clinton at this precinct on the Las Vegas Strip.
Because Bernie would have won. So then he would have won, right? And then if they had remained neutral, he would have won. And then
caucus set up at the casinos so that people, and they got them time off, so they go caucus.
Right.
But they did it super fast.
Anyway,
right?
MSNBC's Jacob Sabaroff is alive at a caucus location right here. And I'm at New York, the big hotel and casino. It's one of the big places here on the Strip. And he's right here.
Hey, Chris. So, yeah, I'm upstairs outside where you are right now inside the New York. And this is just, I mean, I saw it up close in Iowa, but this is an extraordinary piece of American democracy because this is what is called an at-large caucus. Most of these folks, come with me, most of these folks are workers at casinos within a 2.5-mile radius of where we are right now. So New York, Excalibur, MGM Grand, all the other hotels around here. This is the caucus room. Mind the carpet. Some may like it, others may not. And what's going to happen is, as you know, they're going to divide into their preference groups. Bernie Sanders over there. Hillary Clinton on this side. This this is an extraordinary piece of American democracy because this is what is called an at-large caucus. And the name of the game, and I'm not even making this up, is getting these folks out by 1:15, which is their lunch break.
Caucus set up at the casinos so that people, and they got them time off, so they could go caucus,
Right.
but they did it super fast, right? Like it took us 3 hours to caucus. I'm sure it took them like an hour or less, right?
Set up the scene for me. What did it look like? About how many people were there?
About 400 or 500, maybe more. Lines were very long, and people were confused about which line to go on. I spoke with several people who were registering as Democrats, and they didn't know if they needed to go on a separate line.
Do you guys know what's going on? It's kind of a cluster.
Yes. Everyone's trying to register. If you're pre-registered, the express line is all the way around.
I'm not pre-registered though.
Okay, then we have to wait in this big line here?
Oh, that's garbage.
Yes, it is garbage. There should be an easier way to do this.
But people weren't vocally saying how angry were they. I was at Cheyenne, like I said, the lines were long. People really didn't vote until about 2 o'clock, and when one of the precinct captains said, "Is this your first caucus?" almost everybody raised their hand, but they all said in unison, "And our last." They were furious that it took so long.
What? This is the caucus room. Mind the carpet. Some may like it.
Like, everybody go caucus. Boom, boom, got it, done. Count the delegates, go. She totally won Vegas.
Right, and she wouldn't have, though.
I can't even imagine the pressure that must be coming down from the Clinton campaign and who the Clinton campaign might be bringing to bear, and I don't know that it's happened yet. She is very, very worried. Her campaign team is very, very worried about what might happen in Nevada, which they essentially thought they had locked down.
At the district level, Hillary won. Partly because she out-campaigned Bernie in the South. He won in the North, she won in the South. She got them to set up caucusing places and get time off for labor, for hotel workers. There was the monkey business was not monkey business. It was favors and access and they made it work. So they won the district level caucusing.
Letting them into the caucus right now without registering them.
No, don't yell.
They're gonna do the count. They're all gonna be part of the count. They're not registered. They will register after this. But if they had red shirts on.
And then, but then at the district, at the county level, the Clinton delegates didn't show up. The Bernie delegates did.
Like this.
Right. So what happened was we out-campaigned for the count, but also the Bernie people are more willing to stand in line, to dedicate their entire day, to put their time on they are more willing and more dedicated to do that. The original rules say the county level is what determines the delegate count, right?
Okay.
However, after she lost county, leadership went back and changed the rules retroactively. Not for future stuff, retroactively, saying we're going to not let Bernie have the win that he just had, even though the rules say he now won.
Hillary Clinton on this side.
We're not actually going to do that. We're going to take that away. We're going to go back and say it's whoever wins the district level caucus.
So the big controversy came when we were told we needed 900 signatures or 800 signatures, and we got 900 signatures for a petition. And we tried to present I say we, it is the royal we, they, these awesome people, these dedicated volunteers who collected those signatures
at 7:30 in the morning,
7 o'clock in the morning, and we're out, for 6 hours the day before, in those lines, collecting those signatures, talking to everybody. I mean, those petition takers, they busted their asses because we were told if we got the petition signed, we'd be able to present it, and it would be heard, and the motion would be up for delegate debate. So the rules are the big thing. So that was the first battle of the day, was that we said no to the rules. We petitioned to have the rules changed back to something democratic, right?
Okay. Let me ask, are all of these for rules changes?
Yes, so you need to consider them prior to the vote to adopt the rules.
Well, the way it'll happen is a motion will be made to approve the rules. There'll be a second, and then there'll be motions to amend the motion.
There will be no discussion?
Well, of course, there'll be discussion on the motions. There'll be motions, there'll be discussion, and then before the vote is taken, then somebody moves to amend.
We petitioned to have the rules changed back to something democratic, right? You have to elect the Central Committee. You have to, on a voice vote that sounds like it's even, do an actual count, right? And not sneakily change the deadlines for this and all that. I posted a video with the lawyer last night that you have to watch it. He really explains exactly what happened and why it happened. So that was the first battle of the day.
There's a motion on the floor! There's a motion on the floor! There's a motion on the floor!
We will deal with this under the law.
Une grenelle de Montmartre ou de la Chapelle, ici d'ailleurs ou de la mort. Mais c'est bien que la foule a couru, un matin m'a trouvé sur le temps, dans la rue, dans la rue.
So talk to me about the lawsuit that was filed on Friday, because people were asking me about that, and I had no idea other than it was filed.
It was not filed Friday, it was heard Friday.
Okay.
It was an emergency suit to try to force them to allow Bernie delegates to run for the party leadership.
Okay, but didn't they, in the rules, give themselves permanent Supreme Court level lifetime appointments?
Well, there were two parts, and that was part of what it was. There are two governing bodies in the state party: the executive board and the central committee. The central committee, they changed. The state law says has to be reelected every 2 years. They changed the rules to say that only the people who don't want to stay on their position have to be reelected. Anyone who wants to can stay as long as they want. The other part of the lawsuit was that once they realized that there were enough Bernie delegates to take over the leadership of the executive board, they changed the deadline date for applying, 12 hours after they found that out. And so the other part of the suit was these people suing because they changed that deadline to be nominated with no notice. So we only had 2 Bernie people running for 12 seats here. Wow. We had a majority of Bernie people voting and wanting to vote for people who represented their interests, but no option to because there were no nominations.
Okay.
The important thing about this is that the word has to get out. People have to see what happened here. When you have something like this, the key is to shine a light on it. Post about it, social media, Twitter, Facebook, we should see it trending everywhere. This is national news. The fact that someone would so blatantly, the leader of the party would so blatantly absolutely ignore the rules and the will of the people and just look in their face and pretend that they are saying other than they are. It's just insane.
And where will you guys be performing the verification
Credentials Committee does it, but what we're going to do is review them, and if they look in order and have the right number, I don't think there's going to be a big issue about the credentials. Let me ask you this. Are you representing to us that all of these are seated delegates that have signed?
We have no idea if there's
except those marked alternate.
Okay.
Most of them are seated delegates, but there are a few that it says alternate.
Okay. Have you counted the numbers?
We have. They are not yet at the threshold amount. We are giving these to you now as a courtesy to start counting because they're still coming in.
It looks like we've got Angie Morelli here. Good morning, Angie Morelli. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for getting up early to talk with us this morning. I really, really appreciate it.
So at this point, are any of them over the threshold yet?
It depends what the threshold is. A1 is at 738 signatures.
I want to say as of this morning it was 790.
Okay.
At 9 o'clock, but it's probably changed.
Yeah, so we are continuing. We're giving them to you now just so you can get started.
I appreciate you
the
giving.
Counting will take a while.
We have pictures of all those.
We had gone through and gotten more than we got double the requisite signatures we needed on these petitions to put in a lot of these amendments.
So do you anticipate that you will be reviewing and approving these prior to the vote for the rules?
Right. I mean, I think we want to make it so that this is considered as a part of the rules discussion.
And they told us that we needed double what we needed, which we ended up getting anyways, and which wasn't true. B, once we had the requisite number and they had checked them, they had decided that they just weren't going to say anything to us. They quietly gave us back the petitions and then never opened up the floor for us to do any of these motions.
We can't adopt the rules for the convention until you've gone through this process and gone through that
Well,
process.
you have to have the threshold number in order to hold up the process for the rules.
Okay, we still have additional petitions we're working on to verify at that point, so you can't close it. This is a courtesy. This is not the full one.
Okay, well, I appreciate the courtesy, but when the rules discussion comes up, the ones that have a threshold can be considered. The ones that don't have the threshold.
Until the threshold is verified?
Reached. We at least so once we have stated to you that the threshold is verified, you can do the counting and hold on there.
Well, let me think this through.
When we officially represent that.
Okay. So when the rules come up, if any of the motions have the threshold, then those motions can be considered. If you don't have the threshold, I think you can't. The rules discussion goes on.
Because we have alternates that are yet to be converted to delegates.
Well, when the rules comes up, when we find out what the threshold is, the Credentials Committee tells us what the threshold is, and so you probably need to have more than you need.
The Credentials Committee can't tell you what the threshold is after they've verified all the alternates, all the delegates.
Well, it's the threshold at the time that the rules are considered. So whatever delegates have been seated, that sets the threshold for consideration of your petitions. If your petitions don't meet the threshold, then they can't be considered.
They quietly gave us back the petitions and then never opened up the floor for us to do any of these motions. Whenever we asked them why they had done that, they're like, well, you're supposed to be making motions from the floor. And we're like, we are. And they're like, oh, we can't hear you. And I'm having this conversation with the co-chair as they're pushing the barricade 15 feet back further from the stage.
And it's their rule. It says we have to get petitions with 20% of the delegates here. And we did it. That's the only way they allow motions from the floor.
These the petitions they won't allow any motions from the floor. I've been calling point of order for 10 minutes. At one point, she really did ignore me. I asked her why. She said because the issue was open. She didn't even allow me to present my issue.
And they kept telling us that they weren't listening to us because they couldn't hear us. So that's why we got the megaphone. They could clearly hear us.
So what are you doing?
We're delivering
the petitions.
The petitions.
I saw petitions go up and a person give the face, like, I cannot believe they actually got the signatures, and I don't want to check them, was the face that I saw from, and I was in the second row, so I wasn't that far away. I was almost as close as you could possibly be. And then
they can clearly hear us.
And then it was never brought to a vote.
Now I want to know what their new excuse is going to be.
Okay, we are joined by Ashley Cardillo, who was actually there at the convention on Saturday. So, Ashley, tell us about yourself. Who is Ashley Cardillo?
Hi, Ed. Thanks for having me. In all reality, I'm just kind of a regular woman here in Las Vegas. I'm a waitress on the part-time, but I'm a real estate agent for my main work. No kids. Never really been too passionate or into politics in the past, and this election cycle kind of just got me my interest sparked and got my, juices flowing, and decided to participate from the caucus level down to the county and now at the state, and from there.
Okay, now that's interesting. Now, did you vote before, or this is the first time you registered to vote?
No, I actually have voted since I was 18. I just seemed like always in the past it was voting for the lesser of two evils or voting for the independent that really didn't seem like they had a chance at all, even though they may have been the better candidate of everybody.
Now,
I've always voted, I just never was passionate about it.
And this time you actually went on to become a delegate.
Yes.
So now you were a delegate on Saturday at the Nevada State Convention.
Yes, I actually started the day as an alternate. I was an alternate from the county, and due to the numbers, I ended up getting my delegate badge and being seated as a delegate.
So tell us what happened right off the bat when you first showed up in the morning.
Well, I got there I want to say I got down to the Strip probably about 8 o'clock. Since I pre-registered on Friday night, I knew I had a little bit of time to spare in the morning. But I got down there. It took me probably a good 45 minutes or so to park. I wasn't even able to park at Paris Casino. I ended up parking at a different casino and walking down the Strip to get to Paris because it was so crowded and nowhere to park. Probably got in line around 9-ish, I would say. Line moved fairly quickly. Everybody was pretty excited. There was kind of just that general feeling of excitement in the air, both on the Bernie side and the Hillary side. We both had our super long lines down the convention hallway, but, everything was pretty exciting and positive at that point in the day.
Well, if you didn't get in until 9 o'clock, you already missed a couple of votes then, right?
I'm not sure before 9. I know that first one that I was there for that kind of sparked it all happened just before 9:30. But the whole thing is if you didn't pre-register Friday night because, you had to work or whatever your life was, you were told that you had to get in line by 10 a.m. on Saturday in order to get your badge and be counted.
There was a group of Sanders supporters. They were Team Bernie, so they had gotten together about 9 petitions, and they were going around and they were getting signatures so they could bring that to the floor.
I was in, somewhere around 9, I want to say.
Madam Chair, as of this morning, 9:30 a.m., we have registered 1,245 Clinton delegates. 1,149 Sanders delegates.
And that first vote that I heard was at 9:30. So at that point, there was still a huge line outside the door.
And what was that first vote?
That first vote was the vote by Roberta Lang to basically pass her own temporary rules.
There was a group of Sanders supporters. They were Team Bernie, and they were going around and they were getting signatures so they could bring that to the floor so they could contest the temporary rules and bring back something like Robert's Rules of Orders, which is that's the standard.
Right, the standard, right.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Erin Bilbray.
Erin Bilbray came up with the best line. She goes, "We want Robert's rules, not Roberta's rules."
Robert's rules, not Roberta's rules.
She called for a vocal yay-nay vote. Really, this whole vote was seconds long. Like, it was kind of a shock when it happened.
Oh yeah, the guy whispered in her ear. That was fun. So who is that guy, right? That's what I don't remember. Is he's like the vice chair or something, but he reminds me of like the bad guy in the TV shows. Like, I don't know what it is, just the way he was doing it. There was something cagey going on, and I didn't like it.
Okay, we've had 3 speakers for.
They won't allow any motions from the floor.
And 3 speakers against.
I would call a point of order for 10 minutes at one point. You shouldn't really be
Speakers against. I will call the question.
I asked her why. She said because the issue was open.
It has been moved and seconded that the temporary convention rules be passed by the body. All those in favor say aye.
The yeas voted, the nays voted.
We voted nay, and I mean like the loudest thing. You can hear it. I posted the video of it. You can hear the nays, and it is overwhelmingly no. Now, the number of bodies may have been similar to the number of bodies on the Hillary side, but we were certainly louder, and I mean double.
And if you're going to do a voice vote, that's how you have to go.
That's how you have to
if
go.
You're going to make sure that you count each vote.
Then one person, one vote, or voice vote, and we won the voice vote. But she decided the ayes have it and accepted the rules.
It was pretty overwhelmingly obvious that the nay side won.
It cannot be challenged, and I move that I announce that the rules have passed by the body.
And within seconds, she declared the yay side passing, and that her temporary rule to go back to the results of the county convention passed.
So at 9:30 they announced the new count, the preliminary count.
As of this morning, 9:30 a.m., 1,245 Clinton delegates, 1,149 senators.
At 9:30 they announced the preliminary count. Two things about that. You have to be in line and registered by 10.
It took me probably a good 45 minutes or so to park. I wasn't even able to park at Paris Casino.
You have to be in line by 10. There were still people that were in line. There were still people that were out there. There were still people getting themselves situated.
I ended up parking at a different casino and walking down the strip to get to Paris because it was so crowded and nowhere to park.
There were still people getting themselves situated. So a preliminary count and requiring that all those petitions be signed by then was very premature. And I think strategically organized that way. So that was a big problem.
She declared the yay side passing, and that her temporary rule to go back to the results of the county convention passed.
It's not debatable. It cannot be challenged, and I move that I announce that the rules have passed by the body.
Which means that they were throwing out the votes from the county convention.
Yes, exactly.
Where the
Back to
Bernie
the
people,
first caucus.
where the Bernie people were ahead.
Yes, exactly. Where they were, where they showed up largely there.
Right.
And it was a long day there as well.
Yeah, there was. We broadcast live from the convention that day too, when Christine Kramer and Crystal Glass were having that, and Angie Sullivan were having that sitting.
Well, it does. It does. No, I understand what you're saying, but they don't want you here.
Immediate arrest for trespassing.
So let me clarify this. You're going to arrest me right now?
Call the police. If you don't leave now, we'll call the police.
Christine Kramer and Crystal Glass were having that, and Angie Sullivan were having that sit-in because they were getting kicked off the Credentials Committee. So we broadcast that live.
I was stuck in the mile-long line outside in the heat during that part.
So people need to know this didn't just all happen Saturday morning. This goes back. There was a whole other incident at the county convention where they were threatening to arrest people and all kinds of shenanigans were going on. What was the next big incident that started things?
It was such a long day. She threw out that vote, and then she declared that this was one that was just kind of crazy to even hear, that her rulings were non-debatable and no motions or petitions could be brought up against her ruling. And that was before 10 a.m. And literally at that stage of the game, we all kind of looked at each other and were like, okay, so the county convention results were thrown out, and now it just was told to us that whatever she says goes, and there's nothing to debate. So really from that stage of the game, it was like, why were we there?
She decided the ayes have it and accepted the rules. Okay? So this is the first fuck you.
This is where the real trouble starts, right?
This is how the whole 15-plus hour convention started.
Okay.
Just